everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Horizon Hosts. I am absolutely over the moon to welcome Dr. Caitlin to the episode today. Dr. Caitlin, welcome to Horizon Hosts.
Hello, I am delighted to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
We really wanted to get you on because we're absolutely over the moon that you have decided to join us as one of our experts, actually our sleep consultant. So this is something that is very close to my heart because I've really struggled with lack of sleep through menopause, through my medically induced menopause. So I was so keen as soon as I started talking to you, I thought she's the woman for us. So over the moon that we have you here.
And you're absolutely not alone. So many people struggle with their sleep, and so many of them just think it's something that they just have to put up with. And I guess that's why I'm so passionate about helping people with their sleep, because it's one of those symptoms with the menopause that actually you can do something about.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a webinar coming to our community very soon, don't we, Dr. Caitlin? And we're going to be talking in great detail about why it happens to us and all of the things that we can do to try and make it better. But we want to get to know you first of all. So I have a few questions. I'm going to crack on if that's okay, because I know you're a very busy lady. So can you tell us a little bit about you and also about your background as a GP? And what led you to specialise in sleep, particularly in relation to perimenopause and menopause?
So my background, so I've been a doctor for more than 20 years. I went into general practice after a time being a hospital specialist, because for me, what was really important was a person and their particular journey, and making a connection with someone where it's not just about the medicine, it's about the whole life, the whole person, and being able to almost follow someone through that journey, whether it's in those times where you're feeling better or those times where it's a little bit harder. So general practice for me brought those things together. And naturally, as a female GP, you tend to have women who come and see you. And I've always had an interest in women's health. And so it's subspecialized in kind of women's health and contraception and various different stages of a women's journey through hormones and what they impact, and all those good things that you know about. And then at the age of 31, I was at the point of decided to start a family with my husband. And we'd been trying for a couple of years at that point. We'd had 3 miscarriages, and it was really hard. I wasn't sleeping at the time, was up kind of during the night, feeling really anxious, hearing lots of sounds around the place, and not being able to switch off that kind of swirling brain. Driving my husband completely insane because I was waking him up and having serious conversations at 3 a.m. And lots of things happened, but in the end, I ended up being diagnosed with an early premature menopause. And that was, for me, it was, the symptoms were huge, but at the same time, it was a huge kind of grief as well. And it was a time when all my friends were having babies, and it was something that I really wanted. So not only was I having to deal with the physical, not sleeping, having hot flushes, feeling rubbish, but actually figuring out who I was and not being so angry at my body and everything that had happened to it, and trying to get my sleep back. And as a doctor, initially I was like, I know how to fix sleep, or do I? Hang on. And went back and looked at my medical education, and actually I hadn't been taught how to fix sleep. It's not on the medical curriculum. And so I went on this real big journey of discovery, looking into hormones, looking into Eastern medicine, psychology, psychiatry, all those different bits. Trained as a cognitive behavioural therapist for insomnia, looked at circadian rhythms and studied how to alter those, and managed to fix my sleep, fix my mental health through sleeping better and being able to be a little bit more resilient at a time when I actually needed that resilience to be able to keep on going. And through the kind of help of modern medicine, I now have 2 gorgeous girls, and have really managed to change my life through all of this. But I felt like I had so much that I'd learned during that journey, particularly around that interplay of female hormones, sleep, what happens when you're feeling stressed and anxious, and when you're feeling like it's really hard to fix. That I felt like I really wanted to get that information out to other people. And so when COVID hit, I was seeing so much more mental health problems and lots of people not sleeping and people finding it difficult to separate out and the anxiety of a situation that they didn't have control over. We formed the Sleep Project, and our mission is to help people feel better, improve their lives through better sleep, whether that's after having a baby or going through the menopause or through a time of stress. That's what we do.
It's just incredible that from that lived experience as a woman, entering into a very early menopause, 31.
Yeah, and it is early, but I also know that I'm not alone. That
Yeah.
actually early menopause, whether it's through cancer treatment or just genetics, or it's about 1 in 1,000 women have an early menopause. And for most people, they start to feel the symptoms, even if they're going through a normal menopause, that it tends to come on in their early 40s. And so there's a ton of women that are out there. Sometimes they don't recognize that it's early menopause symptoms. Maybe they're in the throes of menopause because they've gone through a kind of crash menopause after cancer treatment, or it's just a natural one that's hit them at a time when often people's lives are really busy. There's lots of other things that are going on, and it feels like you lose who you are. And sometimes it's hard to find that again when you are feeling sleep deprived, when there's lots of other pulls on your life. And often as women, I think we prioritize the needs of others often before our own needs, and almost feel like it's indulgent to
Yeah.
self-care, where actually
Yeah.
it's so fundamental.
Yeah, absolutely. But from that lived experience, you then went away, realized that there was a gap, realized that you had a gap in your knowledge, and created then the Sleep Project. So that's just utterly incredible because it's quite clearly very needed, which is wonderful. So it's great to know that that service is out there, and we'll definitely tell our community more about the Sleep Project because I think it's something that people will be interested in using. From your clinical experience, what are the most common sleep challenges that you see in women during perimenopause and menopause, and why do you think it's so often overlooked at this stage of life?
So I think that the most common ones we see are reduction in sleep quality. Absolutely, that happens, and there's
Yeah.
good studies to show that. So you're in bed, you may be sleeping, but it's just not sleep as you might used to have had it. We also know that lots of people get insomnia, and that's where difficulty getting to sleep, staying asleep, or waking too early, that's impacting on the quality of someone's life. So that's more than just bad sleep. It's where you're really struggling and it's impacting your day. And again, that's really common during the menopause. And then there's also a group of people who may have obstructive sleep apnea or disordered breathing during sleep. Again, that becomes much more common and is underdiagnosed and can often present with symptoms not dissimilar to just poor sleep quality and feeling rubbish the next day. And then restless leg syndrome, again, is really common during the menopause, particularly during the perimenopausal phase, when sometimes your periods can be heavier and then you're losing iron, and then restless leg is quite associated with iron deficiency anemia, even if you're only just a little bit deficient.
You've just literally named like every single symptom that I think I was experiencing in that time. And do you know what the worst part about it was? Is that I just didn't know what way to go, where to turn, or if it would ever get better. And
Yeah, and I
but
think
as women, go on.
that thing, some people, it's funny, almost don't start on the journey towards trying to fix it because they're so afraid that it's just not going to get better and that this is it forever, and that this is their new you. And so I would say our main thing that we really are trying to get out there, kind of with the sleep project, we talk about it as the sleep revolution, is this idea that sleep can be fixed. And it doesn't matter whether it's been 6 months, 6 years, or your whole life. The therapies, the things that we do really change relationships with sleep and can improve sleep quality. And often, I think part of the reason people don't think it can be fixed is they go see their GP and their GP says, cut out caffeine, go to bed at the same time, don't use your phone before bed. And so they go away and they try those 3 things and it doesn't work. And that's because that's not the right advice. I mean, it's not bad advice, but if you have a real proper sleep problem, that's not going to fix it. And so they've been to see a medical professional, they've been told those 3 things, and then it doesn't work. And then they're like, oh, well, I've tried it. I'm drinking chamomile tea. I'm not using my phone. I'm going to bed at the same time. And I'm just not feeling any better. And no wonder that people lose hope that sleep can be changed.
And it can have a real detrimental impact on life, relationships, quality of work, how you feel about your self-confidence. Like, it really was a really dark time for me, and it felt like there was no solution, and I felt very isolated and almost built up an anxiety towards bedtime because I knew what was going to happen. So I had to almost unwind all of that and get back to a baseline to go again. And it's just the understanding of how that works. I was very lucky to end up sort of finding people that could help me. But, if you don't know it's out there, and that's why it's so important, I think, with with you working with Horizon as well, is just that we can just tell as many women as possible the incredible work that you're doing with the Sleep Project, because we need you. We really, really need you. You work at the intersection of primary care and sleep science. How does that combination shape the way you support women navigating hormonal change? Because you're right in the thick of it, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think what I can offer that lots of other sleep coaches don't is that I really get the medicine side of it. And so when people are talking about their HRT and what regime that they're on and kind of what they've tried in the past, I'm not just focused on sleep. The way I look at sleep and a person's health in general is there's like a million little tiny levers that you can pull. And it's often a few different combinations of things that you need. And the combination that you might need might be completely different to somebody else. And so it's about bringing the best of medicine, the best of kind of all the other holistic things, and everything that makes that person's life important and what works for them, bringing those together to find a personalized solution to change that person's relationship with sleep, and a kind of every aspect of that.
Yeah. But the message we do want to get across is that there is hope and that things can improve. This
Yeah,
is not a
absolutely.
forever thing.
Yeah, and that the first step is kind of doing something about it. And even if you're really, really tired, the you'll be surprised at how easy in comparison it is to fix your sleep than having bad sleep is from a day-to-day life perspective. Because having rubbish sleep, it's kind of all encompassing. It just eats into every aspect of your life. You talked about mental health. We know that anxiety and depression are 2 to 3 times more common if you're sleeping badly. And suicide is most likely to happen at 2, 3 in the morning. There's a reason for that. And so poor sleep impacts every aspect of your life and who you are and the relationships with other people and your work. And so that's why it's so important to kind of grab it and tackle it, because it is possible to
Absolutely.
improve.
You shared a little bit earlier about your journey with menopause, but how do you think that experience has influenced the way you approach conversations about sleep and support for women going through this transition?
I mean, I don't know how people would be able to do this job without having experienced it. I
Yeah.
think the symptoms of menopause for so many people, and that I talk to, they surprise the majority of people, because you've kind of heard about menopause and you're like, oh yeah, my mum went through it, and then you go through it and you're like, oh my gosh, how did she get up off the floor and carry on doing all the things that she did? It's, for a lot of people, it's like being hit by a freight train. And I think a lot of the time I do try and educate people who haven't gone through the menopause yet about kind of what it feels like and all the things that can happen. But I'm not sure you really get it until it starts to become part of your life. I mean, Cassie, you probably could speak a little bit to that as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think there's a real comfort in knowing that somebody knows how you feel. And I think that lived experience says a lot about how we can support each other and look after each other. It's like within the breast cancer community, there's just a look, and you just know that that woman gets it. And it's funny because at the age of 48, I honestly, I, I must have been going through perimenopause. You know, I was in my 40s when I got diagnosed with breast cancer, but being put into a medical menopause where everything is just sped up and it's all coming at you at the same time, I've never known anything like it in my life. And it does make me think, Caitlin, my poor mum, because I saw that in her, single mum, two children, holding down a full-time job, acting quite erratic at times, and thinking, what is wrong with you? And now I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I know what's wrong with you. I know now what was happening to you. So yeah, I mean, I just feel like we've just got to keep talking about it, and we've just got to, you know, keep banging the drum, because women are not going anywhere. We are a powerful force, and this is something that biologically we go through. So it needs to be spoken about, right? It needs to be given the space that it deserves and acknowledged.
yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely. And I'm so excited about doing the webinar and all the questions. And actually, the questions are my favorite bit. And so if anyone has questions in the meantime, where they start thinking about what they'd like to ask, just really excited to get into the nitty gritty of what people are experiencing, and hopefully give them some hope that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
absolutely. We'll be advertising the webinar very soon, and I will encourage our community to get those questions in prior to the time that we go live, and then we can get them answered while we're on there, because we've got a short space of time to make a massive impact. And I just know that this is a webinar that people are not going to want to miss. So I'm so grateful that you've given up the time. Just before I let you go, because I know how busy you are, can I just ask you, this is my favorite question. Why did you, Dr. Caitlin, decide to join Horizon as one of our experts?
Oh, that's such a good question. I mean, for me, these communities of women helping each other, I think, are so precious, that I know when I was going through my menopause journey, I felt really alone. And that sometimes just having someone else who knows what's going on, that you can talk to, it just feels a little bit like you do in some ways, can just give you some magical power to be able to continue. And so I think, having experienced it without that support, wherever I can find these little communities or big communities that are building, of women helping each other, sharing experiences, finding the help that works, I want to be part of them. And I'm really excited about being part of this.
We are just over the moon. We are so grateful to have you. And I just know that we're going to absolutely move forward and support people and just make them feel seen and heard, which is what we are on a bit of a mission to do. So at that point, I'm going to let you go, because you've got lots to do, young lady. And we will catch up very soon. But thank you so much for your time. Thanks for joining us today.
Absolute
And I'll
pleasure.
speak
Cannot
very
wait.
soon. Take care. Bye.
It's your thing. Do what you wanna do. I can't tell you. Put a song